Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the podcast where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Now, let's go, baby. Now, today I have a special guest. I have Florida's very own Mochi. She's a cosplayer. She's a video editor. She loves Resident Evil. She loves the Marvel. She loves DC Comics, even at their worst, and much more. So, no further ado, welcome to the show.
Yay!
Now, let's start off with the first question. How did you get into cosplay?
Well, I got into cosplay somewhere around, it's like at the end of 2019 and like in the beginning of 2020. My very first cosplay was Shoto Todoroki from My Hero Academia because his character speaks so much volume. So around like that era, I just got into it because I saw so many people like cosplay and it inspired me. It was like during the COVID times. So like they inspired me and I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. It's like my people and like I can like connect with them in a way and they can connect with me in a way and we can just have fun chit chatting about theories, things that could happen and how the character development is what I loved about it the most.
Yeah, that's funny because that's when I started to get into cosplaying. And for me, though, it was during COVID. But for me, it was the Power Rangers. I went on many websites and I found the closest accurate, almost accurate Power Rangers of the Green Ranger, and that was my cosplay. And just like you were saying, like I just when I went to my first Comic Con wore that. I mean, I met so many people who were just kind and caring and just love the things that I love. And I tell you what, I didn't officially get into all this stuff until later on in my in adult years life. Like that wasn't me in high school. So if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't be doing this. So I get that. Now, you mentioned your first cosplay. Now, did you order that or did you make that like from scratch?
So the only thing I ordered was the wig. I no longer have his cosplay anymore. But there was a time where I was learning how to do sewing. So I got like all the materials for it and I studied his outfit. And of course, you have to like measure everything on your body to make sure it was all the right size. And that's the first time like I ever made an outfit. Because the rest of the cosplays that I have for right now is ordered, but I plan on getting a sewing machine so I can make cosplays.
Awesome. What about like you mentioned sewing? What about like what's that called? 3D printing. Is that something you'd be interested in too, or?
Oh my goodness, I want to get one so bad because it looks like so much fun. Like it seems frustrating at first, only because of like so many people when they tell me like it messes up sometimes and you have to restart. But it looks so much fun because not only like do you get it 3D printed, but I'm such an artistic person. So I love painting. I love putting on the tiny little details. So it's just the idea of after having it printed and then painting it and then putting the details on it, it just sounds good in my head. I'm like, this will suffice.
Oh yeah, and there's so many ways. I mean, I talk to people who take foam and just sculpt it into like a piece for like a suit because I met people who know how to cosplay like World of Warcraft characters to League of Legends to Fortnite, you name it. I mean, there's so many artistic ways. It's so cool and like I wish I was more talented enough, but all I'm good at is saving up some cash and just ordering the costume. But we were messing each other a couple days ago, and you mentioned that what type of books you're into, and I just want to know what current book are you reading and why?
I have it next to me. So there's a series that I was reading. I can't remember off the top of the head. I think it's like Thrown a Glass or something. And it was the first series that I have a good friend of mine. She was reading it, Bella, and our online group, we were all reading it together. So each book that she got, we got, and it continued. So we read it all together. But my friend Liv, she said I should read this book, and she bought it for me. It's from Sarah J. Maas, is the author, and it's called Crescent City. And she said it's really good. The
Oh
printout for
wow.
the cover is so beautiful. I'll tell you right now, I'm only on like chapter 4 because I've been like preoccupied with life. But Sarah J. Maas has one of the most detailing writing I've ever read. And I'm so big on detail as someone who writes a novel too, and you can just picture it in your head. And when you try and go to sleep, this is all I can think about in the moment of going to sleep. And I'm like, no, I can't read it anymore. It's like 3 in the morning.
Right. I've been reading the part one and part two of Dune. I saw the movies, but it inspired me to go out to my Barnes and Noble store and get those two. And I also got me the book Shadow and the Bone. And man, there's like I after reading Shadow and the Bone, I definitely want to cosplay that main villain, the guy that looks like Prince Charming, and I mean that's cool. So my next question is there anybody from that book or any book you read before that you would like to cosplay or you have already cosplayed?
That's a very good question. I haven't really thought about cosplaying recently, only because of like trying to get my life up on the ladder again. But I think I would have to look at their names because my memory is like Dory, short-term memory loss. But there's quite a few in the other series. This one I just started, so there's like brand new characters in here, but there's quite a few a few male characters. I would love to turn into femme cosplays because that's one of my favorite things to do is make them like more like a female version of them. Because like when I see a male character, I'm like, oh, that's me, but a female version.
There you go. And you also mentioned you like romance books. What is your favorite romance book that you are reading or you have read?
Oh, let me go grab it for a
Go
second. Oh
ahead.
my God. I love romance so much.
Wow, what a
Covers
pretty cover.
very, yes, and it's thick too, just like the other one that I had. What I love about it, because the thing is like these two characters, they don't like each other. But we all know deep down when there's someone they don't like each other, they actually love each other. Because I'm a big fan of like the tropes of like not liking you to loving you to like friends to romance, and it's just like those tropes just get me and I'm like, oh, that will be my dream one day.
There you go. Now, I never really read a romance book. So my next question is if somebody new like me came to you and say, "Hey, what romance book would you recommend a beginner?"
That is, I'm busy. Thank you. Children, gotta love them. That is a very good question because there's so many out there that I really enjoy. There was, I can't remember the first romance book that I read. I don't even have it with me anymore. That's how old it was. Man, you got my brain thinking. I love you for that. The most simple ones that I like to start off first when it comes to romance is when it comes to more of what actually grabs people into romance is when it comes to a supernatural creature and a human being. I actually have one of my cousins who is learning how to write like humans and how to understand them in a way. And I told her, well, the only way you can understand how to write someone with emotion rather than just writing animals, you need to read a book that includes humans and that type of nature so you can connect to them in a way. So I think the book is called Love Bite, and it's a vampire and um a human. It's kind of like watching Vampire Diaries, but like but it's like it's a good way to get into romances when you got the supernatural creature of like it could be a vampire, a hybrid, a werewolf, and then you got the human who's just like falling in love with like I mean like just not like for like the good parts of them, but also the bad parts of them that they don't love about themselves, but the human loves them for that because that's what makes them them. And that's what makes you fall in love with romance.
Oh, that's what's up. I my friends tried to get me into romance novelties, and they let me borrow 50 Shades of Grey, and I was like, I can't do this. I returned it back to them, but
50 Shades of Grey is not the way to go. That is,
I
I have my opinions about that book, but that is not the way to go.
oh yeah, I like, and I appreciate them because I told everybody like, hey, I want to get back into reading books. That's wasn't my strength, what my forte, I should say. But now I'm really getting into it, and I've been dip, dipping in different genre books, but I totally get that. Now, have you ever attended like a conventions when it comes to these particular books, or maybe a comic con?
When it comes to books, I wanted to get into like, you know how they have like these groups where you like read the same book together and stuff. Not really a socialized person. I'm always like an introvert. So I really wanted to do something like that. So I don't really talk to anyone about these books other than like my online friends that I have. And then like we'll chit chat books, book recommendations, sometimes like, you know, read the same book or like we're reading different books, but someone wants to read that book, but they're not sure if they want to get it. So the other person reads it and they let you know probably as much as I do.
Now, have you ever like try to do like I see what you're saying, like a book a book club group with like your followers on Instagram or TikTok live? You ever gone live and maybe set up a you tried that before? Or
No, I have not, but that sounds like a really good idea because I end up going live on cosplay and like I'll answer all these questions about the character and explain it to them like deep down into the lore and like I'll just sit there and I'm like, we ran out of things. What do I do now?
if you do that, I'll join it. Now, with I see you got a lot of followers at with on all your social media. Is there a goal that you would like to achieve, or maybe a dream? Like, for example, when I do this, I hope this opens up doors of opportunities to go beyond this. Is there anything like that you can share with us like that?
So when I started, a lot of it's based off of cosplaying though. So when I started cosplaying, originally I started to do it for fun. But then I realized like when I started cosplaying characters that were like people's comfort characters, when they're having a hard time, that's what warmed my heart the most. Like bringing them to life to put smiles on people's faces when they're having a hard time. Like sometimes they'll message me and come to me about it and like I'll reassure them that everything's okay. And like my number one goal is like it's never about how many followers that I have. It's about how many people I inspire in life to keep going and do the things that they love, even if they're scared. I had so many people say, I'm so scared to cosplay because people will make fun of me. I was like, just do it. If you love it and you enjoy it, just do it. Because I'm telling you right now, you only live once. You
You
want to make that life up there.
Hey, you know what? I can relate to that on that other side of it, because I think last week I went to my first anime Comic Con, and I was so nervous because I love anime, but I was like, man, I was so self-conscious about myself. But like, I, luckily I have friends that say, KJ, just you're gonna love it. Just put on one of your suits. my cosplay outfits and just go. And I tell you what, I had a blast. Like that was like my first anime Comic Con ever, and it was fun. I mean, there's people teach me how to use katanas in a sword battle. There's people who independently make their own like what's the word? Not comic book, but magna. I think that's the word. I hope I said it right, everybody. But independently and great artists, very creative with the stories and and then people are just so creative. I never thought about cosplaying like an Animal Crossing character, but I saw people and I was just so amazed like how much effort and work they put in. So I totally get that because they feel so comfortable within there, and that just totally inspires me to feel comfortable to keep doing this stuff. So I totally get that. And as you were just mentioning about cosplaying. Now, I notice in the movie industry now, there's a lot of female characters approaching on the live screen. We went from Wonder Woman to almost say Lady Gaga, but Harley Quinn, but she did play Harley Quinn. Um, we had a Supergirl, two, like one a show, and then one in the Flash, and then of course, back in the day, like in the 90s, we had Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. Is there any like female superhero or even a female villain, whether it's Marvel or DC, that you want to see more in live action or one they haven't done yet in a live action? And there's a lot too, because, you know,
I believe it. Well, one I want to see the most is this is more in the DC realm. I want to see the most because I love characters that are like more morally gray because they leave you in like that mysterious little circle that they don't give you so much information about, but you want to keep digging deeper and deeper. So you only do so much research where you just hit a dead end. So then you
oh
try to
yeah.
put the pieces together yourself. I want to see more Catwoman. I really want to see more of her because I want to see like the backstory of literally everything, how she grew up, how was her childhood like what did she see and actually physically and emotionally go through to make her into who she was. I just want to see more of that, especially after watching like the 2002 version of Batman. She when I tell you she hit that Catwoman role, I was like, oh my goodness, I love it.
Did you see the Batman with oh, what's the actress name? Zoe Kravitz, the daughter of uh no, is it Zoe Kravitz? I forget her name, Zoe. I know her father's a musician, but she played Catwoman in with Robert Pattinson, the Batman.
Yeah,
Did you like that version of Catwoman?
I did. I very much so did. There's like I can't remember the rest of the actresses' names of like other versions of Catwoman. Some movies that were like made like in like back in the days. Those were really good too.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like she captured a lot of like Catwoman's like energy and she was just there on spot. The same thing with Robert Patterson. Like he did such a good job in the role of Batman. Because the thing is like people it's like they want to see like him like just hitting things and getting angry and like and I'm like there's so much more complex than the secondary emotion. You got the sadness that he feels inside and like that disappointment that he feels but pushes anyway because he wants to do better.
Oh yeah. And have you been watching the Penguin series?
I have to catch up. I haven't even touched it yet.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm
Well, I won't ask you a question then. I won't ask you this question then for spoiler reasons. But you know what I want to see in the live action as a female character. I feel like we need more Supergirl. I mean, that's the one I like the both actresses who played Supergirl, the one on the CW and the one in the Flash. She did an amazing job, and I love both the Supergirl outfits. Is there like a Catwoman outfit that they haven't done yet, but you would love to see in the live action? Example is I would love to see that purple one. It's like all purple with the big cat ears and the long hair, like yeet. Like that's the
Yes,
one.
I would love that's the thing is just like I'm looking on like when you're looking for costumes, you get the most basic Catwoman costume. And that's what I loved about 2002 Catwoman is this like he had like the ski mask but with the little kitty ears.
Yeah.
It was more fitting. But I'm just like I was looking back at like just doing research on Pinterest of like Catwoman and her different outfits so I can plan like next cosplays that I would like to eventually do. And I came across the purple suit. I was like, how come we haven't did this one yet? Like this is so iconic. She looks good in purple.
Or the gray one from the Batman animation series. That one,
Oh
woo,
my goodness. I got my daughter watching it and I'm looking at I'm like, we need more suits.
characters. Now, tell us, like, when did you first become a fan of Resident Evil? Was it the games? Was it the old school live action movies? What was it?
I got my opinions about those movies, but it was the game. The first game I played was the original game of Resident Evil 4. I know I skipped like a whole freaking number of playing them, but it was Resident Evil 4, and I was probably still in like middle school. So I just started playing it, and the character I fell in love with the most. I love Leon Sky Kennedy. I love you, but it was Ada Wong because, like I said, I love the morally gray characters because there's so much to them more than you actually know.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you the first one I played. You may not know this, but it's called Resident Evil Zero. And it was for the Nintendo GameCube, and you're on this train. You start on a train, and like it's moving, and you're walking to like cart to cart, and all of a sudden, this squid thing just snatches you and throws you into the woods. Like it was the most like what's crazy too is I have the Nintendo Switch, and they got almost all the Resident Evil games, but the one I mentioned, I believe. And I don't think they have number 7 or 8. Maybe not both. But what if you haven't cosplay any of these particulars, but is there anyone you have yet cosplay but you want to? Like I always think about the three sisters.
Yes, I love them. I would love to cosplay Bella from Resident Evil from like what is she from like 8? I think it's
Yes.
8. Yeah. I would love to do her. I know Rebecca Chambers is on my list. Jessica Sherwood from Resident Evil Revelations. I love her too, even though we only see her once and it never comes back again. But I love her too because she's like Ada Wong, so it's just like the same little work technique there. There's actually quite a bit. I want to do a female version of Leon Scott Kennedy.
You should. You should.
Mm, I love that man.
Now, what's your and we you kind of almost mentioned it about the live action movies. What did you think about those back in the day versus like the oh, I'm gonna get yelled at by the in the comments, but there's a Netflix did a adaptation of Resident Evil, and I think it's called Welcome to Raccoon
Raccoon City.
City. And a lot of people it got canceled, so they're not making no more seasons. Which, okay, now this is where I'm going to get a lot of hate from the comments. But I actually enjoyed that first season just because of the cast. Like they had heavy hitter actors and actresses. Like one of them passed away, and I mean R.I.P. But I mean I loved it because to me it gave more detail about Resident Evil and how like the Umbrella Corporation wants to run the world. Now the ones I don't like is the animation one. Not anime, but the animation ones. There it's just because wait, I know because the comments are gonna come at me. As soon as I upload, they're gonna the comments are gonna hit me hard. But it's just that type of style. I get it. They did this for Planet of the Apes. They did it for Avatar. You know, it's just a bunch of actors and actresses in little bodysuits, little light up dots or whatever. And I get that because I mean they did that for God of War. They done it for Assassin. They're doing it for this next coming Assassin's Creed game. So I get it, but I think that style sometimes it just don't hit right for me. So what do you think about all these like shows and movies in your opinion?
We'll start off with the Resident Evil movies. I just have so many opinions about it because, like, the thing is, like, if you have the games, you would assume that the characters would be whatever characters are in the game. But instead, we got introduced with Alice. And I was like, who's Alice? And why is she even needed? And when are these certain characters that I played in the game are going to come up? And they never really come up until like a certain part of like what Ada doesn't pop until like Retribution or something, or that's probably Jill. I There's so many I can't even keep track because like each character is like spread out. I mean, you get Chris in the movies, but he dies. But even though he doesn't die in the game, so I'm like, why did he die? And I think you get Carlos too. Um,
Yeah, and some of them come back due to the cloning. They clone like you know like oh my gosh they cloned that person. They cloned too many
yeah,
of Jill's. Like I was like what is this? But I
I
loved
don't
it.
know. The movies are like, I feel like it's more around Alice than it is like around what the movie is supposed to be around.
Right, right.
Is what like sucks the most is because like Alice this, Alice that. But I'm like, what about this virus? How is it made? How does it affect? What about this character that is actually connected with the virus in a way and has so much information about it and what are they going to do next? It's kind of like they kind of blurred that out. But I'm like, no. The Netflix movie though, we'll get to that one now.
Oh yeah, let's
Um,
go.
I watched it. It was mid. It was okay. I high as a Resident Evil fan, there's high expectations to it. I feel like they could have gone about it a lot more differently. Since Albert is usually the one who does everything as he did in Resident Evil Zero. It's all like Albert is how it started. And then his little teammate William Birkin, go teammates. Um, I feel like they could have gone about it differently. The characters is where I was a little confused at, but then I took some time to rewatch it again to understand it a little bit better. But then I get it. The actors were great. I mean, they were phenomenal with their acting. But it's also just like how like I think the problem is when you're such a big fan, you want it to be so exact. And I get it 100%. I mean, especially if it comes to my favorite characters and like no matter what universe they're in, I want it to be exact. So it's like you kind of like have to have an open mind. But I think with all the hate that it got, um, no one's gonna touch it.
I get it because it's like when I upload my Venom Last Dance reviews for the non-spoiler and spoiler review, I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate because just to give you a heads up, I defended it, but and I want the audience to check it out and they can, but they'll see why I defended it and stood up for it because it does make sense to me, but as far as like trying to get it out to the MCU, it's a little confusing. So I get that, and with like Resident Evil 2, same thing. Like I get it. It's like it's because when you play a video game, the one thing everybody forgets is the most fun part about playing a video game is you having fun. Like you're so invested in beating that. It's like beating a level. Like, you know, every Resident Evil game has these challenges. Like, got to go all the way here to get this one little piece, but you better watch out because the walls might collapse or somebody's going to have their hands and grab you. You don't know. And like, depending what version you play it on, like with Nintendo, it's always like the Wii or GameCube version or whatever. So that thunderstorm and lightning. it'll mess with your head. Well, for me personally. So I get it. So then when you put it in a live action, the one thing no live action or animation can do is put you in there and get and replicate the joy of you playing that game. And that's just tough. Like Resident Evil is not the only game franchise that gone to movies. Like, yeah, look at Mario the first time, but look at it now, you know,
Yeah,
or look at
that's
Assassin's Creed. They did a live action. Wasn't that hot, but because you're so invested in that particular level, that game, like that no, this character's supposed to climb up, jump off, and fall. Or in Resident Evil terms, you're supposed to load up your weapons, get your little herbs, and as a child, you didn't know what they meant by herbs, but now I do. But you know, you get all prepared, and you're reading. Like for me, it was getting the player's guide and just reading. So I totally get it. But you know what? As much as I'm a fan of Resident Evil, I always still have hope for it. So like they've been talking about doing a live action movie next year. I'm so ready for it. Like I still got hope. I'm not giving up. Like,
Mhm.
Anna Taylor is gonna be in this. You ever seen Gamut? Check that out because then you'll understand that there's about a lot of characters I could see Anna Taylor playing in Resident Evil, but she's in that. So I I totally get it with that. Now, is there any other like video games that are you into besides Resident Evil that you probably want to cosplay in the future?
So on my future cosplay list, which is probably like 2 pages long by now, um, one of my other favorite games to play other than Resident Evil was Assassin's Creed.
Nice.
And I wanted to do a female Enzo, because why not? I love that man. He was like, I think it was Assassin's Creed 2, was the first game that I played. And then one of my favorite, all time favorite Assassin's Creed games will be always is Assassin's Creed 3.
Yes, that's mine. And I would say Black Flag.
The lores into those two games is just beautiful because they dig so deep into it. I'm like, the character development even better.
What's your opinion on the female characters in the much newer Assassin's Creed? I think you would start with no, not Origin. I guess it'd be from Odyssey to Valhalla to the next one, which is in Japan.
Yes, I've heard about the one in Japan. Um, what I like is that they're actually adding female characters as an assassin because I was kind of like when I played the games, it was just males, and I was just curious if there was any females. But when I did research at the time, there was rarely any females. But I'm like, well, what if there's like a female who did that line of work and actually fallen into that lifestyle? And just seeing that they actually put females into it just like brightens my day because I'm like, yes, we have bad females out here who just falls into that lifestyle. Pretty sad. But like, they fall into that lifestyle. They have like all that integrity and that honor that they uphold and want to like, actually do some good, even though, hidden blades are a thing. But like
And what what other like when you think about cosplaying, like where does your inspiration come? Like, are you just watching stuff, or like you say, you do a lot of research? Like, for me, I always go to do cosplays that kind of, in a weird way, fit my personality. You know, like I do the Green Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. It's not like me and that character are the same or have the same history, but something about him I connect with. I do Spider Man. I do Batman. I do. Oh, I got so many. Link from Legend of Zelda. Oh, Dark Vader. Like I have no like real life connection with Dark Vader, but that character was just such a strong passion that I wanted to cosplay, and I finally got to it. Is there anything like that that helps you get inspired and motivated to cosplay a particular character like that?
So a lot of my characters that I cosplay are characters that I can relate to on a deeper level and on an emotional spectrum. Um, so I cosplay Ada, my my all-time favorite character. I have so many outfits of her, it's crazy. I can relate to her on the emotional level of it's more on the romance spectrum because like her romance partner is supposed to be Leon, but can't be with him because of her line of work. But she still protects him and helps him with he needs, but from afar and with like little presents on the side, like with keys, or if it's with leaving like a makeup pad with like the USB so he can like protect his name and keep himself out of trouble. I have a Starion from Baldur's Gate 3. Good game, by the way. He's
Oh
just
yeah, one
so
of my favorites.
sassy. He's so sassy and so confident. And I'm just like, oh, you're just it. You're my favorite. I love you. But on emotional level, he just wants to be seen for who he is and to be loved for who he is because he doesn't think that he's lovable. And that is what hurts. And that's where I can relate to him on. And that's why I cosplay him. Catwoman. Oh, I love that woman.
Oh
I
yeah.
cosplay her and it just that character, like her and Ada are the ones that I get into the most. Like up here is where I just get into the most. It's just like my morally gray characters are just it for me because like I feel like me as a person, I'm like not a villain or a hero, but I'm here and just to help along the way.
Oh I
I
yeah.
got
And
these
I have
last.
5 questions, and this is just for fun. I do this to inspire, motivate, and just encouragement for the viewers. What is the best advice you received or heard?
Probably one of the best advice I've received is that to be yourself no matter what, even though there are unfortunately people in the world who are just filled with negativity and anger, but we don't know what they've been through, so they kind of just let out on others, is still be kind to them. So kill them with that kindness. Say something that will leave in their brain to think about, and then just walk away and hope for the best and continue to be yourself. And if it hurts, write it down in a journal or write on a piece of paper and burn
Awesome. I like that. I actually do
it.
that too. I actually do that. I think about every day, but that's different. But what is the worst advice you ever heard or received?
Oh my God. The worst was playing in my delusional brain and be someone else.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Don't be someone else. Just be yourself. People will love you. They will hate you. They will dislike you. They will say like the meanest things on the planet. But you being yourself and being true is what will get you through life.
And then number three, what is the an interesting fact that you can share with us that we may not know about you?
I am a single mother and I have a daughter that is too.
Oh wow. Is she into dressing up and cosplaying and
She is not, but she's always around me when I get into cosplaying and filming, and she literally just sits down and watches and cheers me on. She'll be like, "Yeah!" I'm like, "Oh my goodness, my little supporter."
awesome. I like number four. What is your all-time favorite anime show?
Death Note.
Death Note. Okay. Okay. Man, I hope one day you cosplay that what's the demon's name from Death Note? I hope you cosplay him. The creature.
Yes.
That'd be I think you would knock that out the park.
Oh, bet I'll add them to my list.
And then number five, if you can make one law that everybody had to follow, no matter what would it be?
Be kind.
Be kind. I like that. I like that answer. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much. And thank you for being on here. I truly appreciate that. For me and to everybody who's going to view this, we wish you the best of luck. I know that whether you believe it or not, you're going to be a star. I mean, I'll probably see you on the red carpet at a Marvel or DC or Resident Evil. You're going to make it, and we're all rooting for you right here. And just thank you so much, guys. So, and if you guys haven't yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment Official Channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always be updated with all my latest content. Thank you guys. Peace out.